everyone. Welcome back to the channel for another episode of a summer series. My name is Ben Reeve, and I am joined by two wonderful guests. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Paul James.
The man, the myth, the mosquito fighter. They're all coming for me. Howdy. Let's get going.
And friend of the channel, he's a lovely guy. He's an awesome bloke, Mr. Pom. How you going, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Always a pleasure to join you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. So I'm looking forward to this.
I love a summer series. We've had a couple of weeks in a row now where we've done this, and as we always try to do a load of washing in between episodes, but for whatever reason we can't. And Paul, that fly was there last week, and he's back again.
Mate, so it's a 31-degree day today. They're starting to, and my wife set up a kids' pool outside, so there's some still water that's going to bring them into the area. Good times for me. I love being in here.
And it was 31 last week as well. But all right, let's get on with the show. So this episode of Summer Series, the theme of this one is about footy memories. So first topic of tonight is the greatest win in your club's history. And you can talk about grand finals, you can talk about regular season, hell, you can talk about Ansett Cup games all you want. But Pom, tell me about your greatest memory as a fan of the Carlton Football Club.
So my greatest win is quite an interesting this one because I'm going into the Lions' Den here, but I would say the win I have enjoyed the most as a Carlton fan, without a shadow of a doubt, and I hate to do this to you guys, but it was our round 15 win against you this year. And the reason I say that is Geelong, in my time in here of 12 years, have been a team that are just always better than us. A mature side, a side that can grind a win out, everything my club lack. And seeing us put a side away by 60 points plus, who I give so much respect in a football sense to, made me really start to believe, hang about, we're a good side, because we've put away rubbish sides. We put up against a side that is good, that finds a way. So in personal enjoyment, the prelims obviously were great. That one was the one that really excited me because they were a top class outfit who I have so much respect in the regular season. That was probably the game that I really did believe this was the year.
I remember that game, and I remember looking at you guys carry on fan cams afterwards, and I was happy for. Don't get me wrong, I get bitter when Geelong lose, but I was happy for you to get the win.
We're all friends here.
But the carry on, I was like, settle down. Like, it's just a regular season game. And then, sure enough, Geelong is in front in a prelim with a couple of minutes to go. And we could have been in another grand final, and would have been nice if we played Sydney and not Brisbane. Who knows what would have happened? But yeah, I didn't forget that one. That was an interesting one. You guys played really well. And I think I was on record, Pom, actually, on our show saying season was over at that point. I might have written the season off a little bit earlier.
You did.
I think I was on record as well saying I'd guarantee you'd be in the finals.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Right? I'm good. When your side loses, I'm the best person to talk to because I'll put my arm around you, pet you up.
You and Jake from Saints TV. He is one of the best blokes to talk to. Generally, we beat the Saints, but even when we don't, he comes on and he's
very gracious in victory.
The fans on the live chat give him shit, which is a bit unfair, but I think he's great for coming on. Win or lose, he'll come on and he'll talk about it, and he'll be very balanced about it. He loves his Sainers, but yeah, he's quite happy to sort of talk about the good and bad from both teams. But Paul, what do you reckon, mate? Your greatest memory? I'm assuming it's going to be a win from your time.
Yeah, it is a win. For me, it's hard to choose. I mean, we've got these, and I don't mean this in like some sort of smug way, but of course we've got these grand finals, the 07, 9, 11, 22. We've got those we can kind of go back to. I don't really remember much of the 90s football. I was born in 89, so I definitely kind of don't have no recollection of that grand final in the moment. I've gone back and watched it since. That was obviously a loss, not a great day, but obviously an incredible spectacle. Plenty of other finals and amazing efforts from G. Ablett through the 90s too that I don't really have much of a memory of outside of some highlights. So for me, it probably goes to 2007, and I've been kind of, as we've been going through this, I've been tossing and turning around 3 games specifically that year. The round 6 demolition of Richmond, which kind of really got the ball rolling for the Cats.
Yeah. Yep.
I think about the prelim final against the Pies, which was absolutely the best game of the final series. And then I think about what was that? Sorry,
come off the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, obviously, just the whole theatre around what Gary Ablett did in that moment, and kind of see it. Well, you thought he'd sealed the deal. It got a bit close again after that, but and then of course there's the grand final itself, and breaking the drought of 44 years, and all of the storytelling around that was incredible as well. I think I have to go for that grand final moment. I got to be there for it. Everything around that, I guess, just holds so many treasured memories for me. Dad being alongside me, having not seen success in his life either. It was perfect. So for me, as much as it's an easy one, it's the 07 grand final.
I like that. It definitely brought me to tears at the end of the game, just watching Billy Brownless get interviewed. I think it was, I can't remember who was interviewing, but he was wiping tears away. I was gone at that point in time. I was a wreck. Still didn't believe we were going to win at 3/4 time, 92 points in front, or 90, whatever we were in front. Still didn't believe it was actually going to happen, that we would be on that dais and blue and white streamers would be going up. I just didn't think I would ever see that. And it was a fantastic day for sure. But for me, probably the one that really set me on a path of being this absolute Geelong nuffy that I think I probably am now is way back in 2004. Geelong had a pretty tough 5 or 6 years after being competitive through the finals and making grand finals and being there and abouts. And wheels started falling off, and a lot of the players, Gary Ablett Senior retired, and we tried a few Gary Ablett Senior 2.0s. It didn't quite work out. Brett Spinks. Say hi to him. I'm saying hi to you right now. But there was a game. 2004 was a year where some of these young superstars that eventually became premiership players really decided to put their hand up and start putting some wins together. And for me, it really sort of peaked in. I can't remember what round it was, but it was at home at GMHBA. It was a wet day. It was a soggy day against
the game against the Lions, right?
It's the Lions, the premiers from the year before.
Round 13.
Round 13, yep. Thank you very much. And it was, I've talked about this on other shows before, and probably with you too, Paul, but for me, it was just, okay, we've been through so much shit. I was a young Cats fan in my probably early 20s at the point. All I'd seen is, as a young kid, I'd seen some competitive Geelong sides, but pretty much all I'd seen is tough times. Didn't think Geelong was ever going to be competitive ever again, let alone win a grand final. And that, to me, just winning that game, against all odds, against an absolutely adult team full of men in wet conditions, seeing Kent Kingsley just run amok a little bit, just some of these absolute superstars of the future, which we didn't know at that point in time. I just felt so proud. You look at who was playing that day and you think, Jesus Christ, who's this bloke? Who's that bloke? But it was the beginning of Geelong people, players and supporters, and everyone connected to the club. We started to believe that we might have something. And for me, that probably holds the most special place in my heart, because I'd been through some years of crap, and then, you get into 2006 and it all sort of fell apart. And I thought, okay, here we go. But that game to me will always stand out. So yeah, that was a good one. I still get emotional thinking about it now. It was a great game. I was absolutely saturated. I think I went to the movies. I can't remember what I saw after that, but yeah, I went to the movies absolutely covered in head to toe down at Reading Cinemas in Geelong, I think it was, if that was open at that point in time. Pom, what was your worst loss? Was it Carlton v Geelong? Probably not. What is your worst loss that you've sat through in your relatively recent history of being an AFL fan, a Carlton man?
It would be between two. I think I went on how you guys worded this question to me, so I'm going to disregard where I retired from YouTube 2021 round 2 against Collingwood. I never want to talk about, think about, hear about, speak about that game ever again as long as I live, because I have never seen such a limp performance where I have hated 22 men wearing the shirt that I love so much walk off the ground. I don't think I've ever disliked my boys as much as I did that day. The one that really hits the cockle, though, let me take you on a journey. Round 10, 2015, Carlton, 1 win, rock bottom of the ladder, led by a hero in Chris Judd, my first footy idol. We all know what happened. Obviously, he had his career-ending injury very early doors, but that game is a game that really symbolises what we experience as Carlton fans probably for the next 5-6 years. A team that managed to fight back against all the odds. Judd goes off. He's carried off. Somehow Levi Casbolt takes a mark 3 minutes into the fourth. We hit the lead against a top 8 Adelaide. You start to believe. And then the Demons come back. We implode and Adelaide steamrollers. And we know what happened that back end of that year. That year was just a nightmare for Blues fans everywhere. And we lost our hero in Juddy. And he never got to develop these young boys that we ultimately went to bring on. And it's always a case of what if. I always look at that game and I remember feeling at the time, everyone's saying, well, Cripps is going to have to step up. Murphy's going to have to become a leader. And I think everything that happened in the next 2 years is why we were so barren and so rubbish, because we never replaced that experience. And that work went to too young, too few. I think that game is more symbiotic than people give it credit for. But that's the one that kicks me in the feels. 2021, yeah, where I retired from football. But it's definitely that game that really hits me.
Footy can break your heart. Paul, I think I won't suggest what I think you're going to say next.
Go on.
Little Paul in his Ninja Turtle pajamas.
Okay, we're not going that far. I wasn't going that far.
With his dad had the projector out. No, tell the story.
You are telling the story there well. Outside of the Ninja Turtles pajamas, never was a Ninja Turtles kid. It's the 2005 semi-final against the Swans with Nick Davis doing what he did that day. It was. I mean, you started the story well there. Your dad had borrowed a projector from work and set it all up at home, and it was going to be a great night in, and things were looking pretty good. And then obviously Nick Davis pulled something pretty incredible out of his rectum in that final quarter, and destroyed little Paul's heart. Destroyed the hearts of a lot of Geelong supporters, the players. I still think, and you still see the footage from time to time. Not only did they show Nick Davis, but then they show Cam Mooney crying into his jersey after the siren rings, or as the siren rings. That's the one that I can't forget. And I mean, there's been grand final losses. 08 was awful, but that was a weird one in the sense that I didn't really have an opportunity to process it because I actually had to then run out to go to work. So kind of, I think, dulled the impact of the blow a little bit. 2020, not being able to get there was awful, and knowing it was the last time you were going to get Gary Ablett, and for it to end the way that it did, that was that was kind of awful as well. But I guess the distance for that one, I think, made it harder to digest, harder to really get shaken by it. But yeah, that particular game, I think probably the age and stage that I was at as well. That's the game that for me is just the worst loss that I've seen. There's been bigger margins. There's been uglier matches. Hell, I could think of Geelong and Gold Coast from this past year and how awful that was at one point. There's been worse performances from Geelong, but for me, that's the one that hurts the most.
There's definitely been games where I shouldn't pick on umpires, but there's been games where I'm just ready to jump the fence. It's you've actually cost us the game here, and but no, it's more just the disappointment and the absolute heartbreak that being a passionate footy fan or a club fan. For me, it's a final, and it is. And I'm going to bring this back to Hawthorn. We can't do one of these shows without sort of putting the spotlight on the Hawks. It's the prelim. It's 13. The Trevor Barco. I can't kick it from 40 metres out directly in front to send the game into, I think it would have been gone into overtime at that point. I think they'd changed the rules at that stage. Cats the Kennett curse was alive and well. The Cats somehow were looking at another grand final. Could you believe it? At 3/4 time, 20-odd points in front. Harry Taylor's kicking goals. Josh Caddy's kicking goals. It's just you cannot believe it. We're going to be in another grand final, and then it just all fell apart. And you can't get that image of Sean Burgoyne out of your head, can you, Geelong fans? I know just him flying through the goals where with his arms outstretched. Like
Broadcasters won't let us forget it.
Oh, it was just that. I mean, I know we had a good run, and I should be thankful for it. Those 12 or 13 games, or whatever it was during that run, but gee, that one hurt. And the fact that we had it too, like we had it on Varco's foot. I don't think he lasted much longer than that. Did he go the next year? Or you might have to Collingwood, but that was
it stuck around for a little bit longer, I think, before.
That was a tough one. Paul, if I could be a little bit silly for a moment, if you'll indulge me, I would have been maybe 15 or 16 in mid to late 90s. We'd lost premiership after premiership after premiership. But the Cats found themselves in a grand final in the Ansett Cup or whatever it was, the Wizard Cup at that point in time against Carlton. And I thought, here we go. We've got a chance here.
Silverware, here it comes.
And again, we lose another one. And I don't think I've ever been more devastated as a footy fan. I think I've matured a little bit more now, and I appreciate what hurts more now. But at the time, I was inconsolable. My friends basically told me to pull my head in.
Not the preseason cup. Oh,
I'm pretty sure that was the cup that saved Carlton, wasn't it? As well, they were in desperate, dire financial issues, and that cash injection kept us afloat.
Yep. So that one still burns for me, Paul. I can't let that go. I'm sure you've still got that on DVD and you play it every now and then. But is that the last?
Mate, I'm waiting for the reunion.
Oh, that's good. No, it's good. When we won in 2006, I thought premiership was just around the corner. Joel Corey jumping on people's shoulders, and I think did we beat Adelaide or something over there? Or it was St Kilda, maybe, I can't remember. But that was the beginning of a 2006 premiership run, which didn't eventuate. But we won the next 2 weeks by about 80 points on average to start rounds 1 and 2 off. The next. To start the regular season, and then it all fell apart. But the rest is history, isn't it? Well, that was fun. That was a fun conversation. Oh, last one. We got one last topic before we wrap this show up, and I'll come to you again, Paul, on this one. And maybe this is the Ninja Turtle pajamas story again, but maybe it's not. What is your earliest memory of being at a football game?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't at that one. Obviously, that was from home. So my earliest memory of being at a footy game.
Doesn't have to be a crystal clear memory, but just some images, visions.
No, so like I remember cricket games at the G when I was much younger because I was there when I don't know, people I'm sure, watching and listening probably recall a certain game where basically the crowd was just hurling absurd amounts of rubbish all over the fence, and like Shane Warne, the great hero, had to wander out and try and cool the crowd down so that they could actually resume play. And those, like, I have a lot of cricket memories because there was a lot of stupid theatrics that were going on there. Not as many from football, really. Some of my first memories of like really specific, vivid memories from football were around that 2004 sort of period as Geelong really started. And I guess I'm 15 at that point, 14, 15 at that stage, starting to remember some of those games quite fondly. I mean, I was there for that entire final series, all the Victorian based games. Wasn't there to see us get smacked by Port in the qualifier, but bounced back against the Bombers that way in the semi, and that was that started. And I'm sure there's lots of people that probably forgotten how thankful they are for Geelong around this, that started the 20-year drought for the Bombers that particular day. 21 by the end of this season. And then obviously, prelim, which, look, there was a few things that kind of fell our way in terms of the circumstances. Brisbane being forced to come and play at the G gave us a bit of an advantage. They were, of course, pretty much on their final legs at that particular stage. We had the running going for us, and it just didn't quite work out at the end. But that was kind of, a moment that said, yeah, okay, this team means business, and they're really young at the moment. When they pop up, when they get another couple of years under their belt and really mature, we could be something here. And of course, that 3 years later, there was the flag. But yeah, I really don't have too many memories before probably that 2004 final series, if I'm honest.
There you go. Tom, did you catch any AFL footy when you were living overseas, or is it just coming into adopting a new family, or the family that you, I think, married into or partnered up into?
Yeah, to be honest, I remember vaguely at uni we used to have Trans World Sport, and there was like a final played in the 90s, and I remember being very drunk. Do you know what I mean? Early noughties, being very drunk in the uni dorm, going, what the heck's going on here? Didn't really pay much attention. I mean, first sporting memory to go on Paul's tangent, mine would be Italia 90, England. I remember David Platt scoring the winner, like deep late. I was 6 years old. So I remember being with my pop, sat on his lap, and I do remember him getting up to celebrate and me falling off the couch because I was on his lap and cracking my head on the coffee table that we had. We were one of them old thick 80s glass ones. I remember my grandma telling him off, and that's why I always wore number 8, because he wore number 17. I couldn't get that at my local club because that was an older kid, so I got 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. So 8 is my favourite number. That was what I kind of just lived off, the fact that I got to play David Platt's 17 even though I wanted 8. Football memory, weird one. You'll love this. Gary Ablett, 2013. It was before I really became indoctrinated by Carlton, but his 49 touch game against Collingwood. And I always say this to people, even if you don't understand the sport, what's amazing about sport is you can tell who the best player is at that sport if you don't know the rules. And I think that works with every sport. And you watch the little master, that 2013 Gold Coast team, they became like a little pet project of mine of watching them. And like poor Gary's playing with Carmichael Hunt and nuffs like that. And he's winning games as a one-man army. And I think that game, I don't think, in my opinion, there's ever been a more probably the Crips game against Brisbane in 19 maybe, but I don't think I've witnessed a game that one man wins the game on his own. That one man surpasses 18 on the other side. Like, he was unplayable. Like 2 goals, 49 touches. That was. I remember just sitting back and going, "That's Ronaldo. That's Messi. That's big Ronaldo as well. Not CR7. That's fat Ronaldo, as he's affectionately known. Like, it's that good. It's like when you watch a player and you're like, I am watching something that's generational. Like, we'll talk about this when I'm old. So yeah, that game sticks out for me. Like that, I was just like, that's fascinating. That guy is. I need to learn what that guy does, because if I can work it out, I might understand the game.
I've got a couple. The first, it's not a very detailed memory, but the first memory of being at a football game would have been at Waverley or VFL Park or whatever they called it. I think I was sitting about 3 or 4 rows back on the wing, and I just remember a Hawthorn player just taking about 3 or 4 bounces along the wing and thinking, oh God, they're big, they're strong. This is, I don't know, it would have been maybe 4 or 5 or something like that at the time. I don't remember the result. I do remember being a young fella and going every single game I went to, Geelong would win. I reckon I maybe got to about 6 or 7 games, my first 6 or 7 games of footy. My dad would have loved this, that every time he took me to the football, the Cats won. So I'd hate to see what would have happened if we had lost.
You got to go to a lot more football.
I don't know what your son's track record is, Paul, with footy games, but I took my 3 kids to the prelim against Brisbane recently. We were all up and about. We were hugging and we were loving each other's company. And then at the end of the siren, it was, shut up. Yeah, let's go. Come on. We're all griping at each other a little bit because we just lost.
He was shooting at 100% until that prelim. So,
well, there you go. So unfortunate, not meant to be. But another sport, just as we wrap the show up, basketball at the Geelong Arena, the magnificent stadium that is the Geelong Arena. I went to see the Super Cats when they were in the NBL. They were playing a college team. I think it was one of the ones that start with M. I can't quite remember what it was called. But yeah, they were playing a young college team. And these were the days when Shaquille O'Neal was the guy at NBA, and everyone was talking about him. And that was kind of that generation of basketball. And 2 blokes went up from this college team in America. They sort of gathered the rebound in midair and tried to slam dunk it. And they both slam dunked it at the same time, smashed the backboard. The whole thing just came down. The game was delayed by an hour. And I just, as a I would have been about 12 or something at the time, maybe 13. I thought it was the best thing ever. These two big, huge American blokes have just destroyed a ring, and I thought that was fantastic. Again, not a footy story, but yeah, stories of going to sporting games as a young kid. That was pretty impressive. But I reckon the more I talk to you guys, the more I could probably think of other stories, and I'm sure some things are coming back as well. But yeah, let us know if you're watching, anyone listening or watching to this. Let us know in the chat what your favourite memories, or your worst memories, or your earliest memories of footy. I'm sure there's a lot of good and bad. No matter how successful you are, like Paul said before, Geelong's been spoilt in recent years with 4 premierships and a couple other grand finals. But goodness me, did we find a way to pick out the bad moments as well? We can still do that. Heaven forbid you'd be one of those struggling clubs like Essendon or St Kilda or how many wooden spoons have they won over the years? That'll do it for another show of the summer series. What are we in? 6 episodes in now, if I'm putting this in some kind of order when I publish it. But Pommy, I'll start with you. Much appreciate you coming on the show. We always love to have you on, and hopefully this won't be the last time we'll chat, especially into 2025 next season as well.
100% won't be the last. I'll always come on. Always enjoy it, gentlemen. It's a pleasure. It's an honour to be here, to be fair. An honour.
And Paul, you are an awesome human being. Gee, I'm giving you a bit of love now, aren't I? We love everything you do, Paul. I don't always agree with your opinion. Sometimes I think you're just way off, but I love everything you bring to this show, and may it long continue.
I've killed every mosquito in the space, so I'm good to keep going. Are we going to record another one? No, thanks for having me on as always. It's always a good time.
And to everyone watching, thank you for watching. As I said, don't forget to comment and let us know what your thoughts are in the chat, but also don't forget to get that like button and hit a subscribe. And don't forget to give Pommy subscribe as well, and Pommy and Oz as well. That'd be great. Thank you to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one. Go Cats.